Owen says that Brandon played that game really well. I agree. For sure.
I think Brandon played the first game pretty well. I think the only thing I didn't like is there was a turn where he fate sealed, which is ironically the turn I didn't like, right? And then he chose to start brainstorming again next turn. So he changed his strategy for some reason. I didn't really understand why. I think it possibly just realized he made a small mistake. It shouldn't be fate sealing. So other than that, I really like that whole game by Brandon Nelson. Playing tight, like I said, kid is just getting consistently better. Playing a lot on Magic Online. Basically, one of the best places to improve is online. Playing a lot online, playing a lot in PTQs. Did well at Nationals this year, making a top 8. Kid knows what he's doing. Played in several Pro Tours.
Wakester on Moto, for those of you who don't know.
Oh.
Very, very good Moto player. But yeah, someone just tweeted in, Nick Bareka just tweeted in that his version is almost identical to AJ's, and looking at the 2 deck lists, he's right about that. Very, very similar. Actually, these might be identical.
Are they identical?
Yep, looks like he might have changed the land base up a bit, but that's it. Sideboard. Actually, yeah, he copied the sideboard almost card for card.
Wow, so pretty close to AJ's list. AJ built the blue-white deck Brandon liked, and made it happen.
Yep, top forward.
Brian Kibler notes on Twitter, he thinks the worst playability on Jace is actually the -1, or at least it used to be in Standard. I certainly agree that people were -1 a lot when they didn't need to, and a lot of times should just be -1ing. If all you're doing is just wasting a Jace by playing it -1 and it dies, well, it's not that exciting.
Right.
All right, Dylan goes for Aether Vial on turn 1. Brandon has the Force again to stop that.
Yep, we'll see if he uses it here. I can't imagine...
You've got to force this.
He wouldn't. What's his name? Counterspell, Force of Will, Snapcaster Mage, 2 Swords to Plowshares, and a Wasteland.
So he has everything he needs. The question is just what to pitch. Do you pitch the Snapcaster or do you pitch the Counterspell? He opts for the Counterspell.
Yeah, I think I like that. I think his plan this game is just to rebuy on that Swords to Plowshares, just try and kill every one of Dylan's relevant creatures.
And he draws Brainstorm, which is going to be pretty nice here.
Definitely. He's going to avoid cracking that fetch for as long as possible, hoping to draw an island or another fetch.
All right, there's that Wasteland. Yeah, he really does not want to have to find a non-basic if he doesn't want to. Finding Tundra could be disastrous.
Yeah, definitely.
Although his hand might be forced now. Goblin Lackey from Dylan Allen means he's going to need to pull the trigger on that Swords.
Right. He has one more draw step. No,
okay.
he chooses to use an end step.
Dylan Allen has no second land. So Brandon knows he has to Swords that thing.
Right, and the fact that he doesn't have a second land, like Wasteland,
right,
lets him safely get a Tundra.
And even if he does rip a Wasteland, then he still only has 1 land.
Right, that's fine. Definitely fine for Brandon.
Unless he has another Lackey, in which case could be terrible.
Yeah.
There we go. So Swords. Brandon Swords is away the Lackey.
Yeah, he's going to untap.
And draw. Finds an island. There you go, Brandon Nelson.
Great card for him.
And just holding that Brainstorm. I just like holding that Brainstorm for as long as possible.
Oh, yeah. There's no reason to play it right now.
All right. Finds a Blackfeet Cliffs. And there is Goblin Pile Driver. Paltry 1-2 right now. Interesting to note, Snapcaster Mage cannot block the protection from blue that was designed for Psychotog, permanently messing things up. But yeah, there's Snapcaster on Swords of Plowshares.
Yep.
They may not be able to block, but it can certainly snap the swords.
Taking Dylan up to 22 life. Brandon draws another Tundra. Knocks him down to 20. And right now, all Brandon wants is a fetch land.
And Brandon's the one on the offensive with Wasteland now. He Wastelands down Dylan Allen's Blackcleave Cliffs.
Yep.
Rough. If those were mountains instead of Blackcleave Cliffs, be in better shape. Brandon serves them for 2 with the Snapcaster Mage. Plays his 4th land, fetch land with Brainstorm in hand, so he's got some options. Dylan Allen lays down Aether Vial, and I think Brandon's just going to let this resolve. Nope, he goes for Brainstorm in response. Hoping to find Counterspell or something.
Now that he has the fetch land.
All right, he sees Wrath, Stoneforge, Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, that is a very good hand for Brandon Nelson.
Yeah, he's going to put 2 back, probably draw 1, and then play Stoneforge and get Batterskull.
Definitely.
And I think that should probably close this out with Dylan stuck at 1 land.
Yeah, Dylan's not going to have time to fully utilize that Aether Vial. If he can sneak a Goblin Tinkerer into play to kill that Batterskull, he'll be in okay shape. But that is it.
Brandon looking at Umezawa's GT, another great card.
Yeah.
I'd probably just get the Batterskull to close out the game, but getting the GTA might be the safer play. Yeah, okay, GTA is what Brandon Nelson gets. It is pretty reasonable that Aether Vial is going to kick up. Wants to be able to deal with his creatures.
Yeah, definitely.
I might be worried about a Goblin Tinker or something on my GTA, but perhaps that's not a concern for Brandon Nelson right now.
Yeah, I think I would have gotten the Batterskull too, because he effectively has 2 more removal spells in hand. I would think the Batterskull would be able to kill Dylan Allen from 16 before Dylan could get any relevant creatures in play.
But Brandon Nelson certainly doesn't think so.
Yep. He's definitely played this blue-white Stoneforge deck more than I have. And now he'll go to equip the Snapcaster, it looks like.
And yeah, ship the Umezawa's GTA to the Snapcaster Mage. We'll drop Dylan down to 14, but those 2 counters could be all the difference. The board, 2 Vials for Dylan Allen versus Stoneforge and Snapcaster wearing on Umezawa's GTA.
Yeah, once the GTA gets equipped and gets counters on it, it'd be Dylan Allen winning from 1 land, 2 Aether Vials becomes really tough.
Let's see.
Looks like the Vials tick up to 2 and 1. As Dylan draws another Black Cleep Cliffs. See what he does with his 2 mana.
And there's Warren Weirding. That'll probably get rid of the Stoneforge.
Yep, I don't think think he's gonna fight over that.
Yeah, that is fine. You've killed my Stoneforge Mystic.
He's already done his damage.
Untaps and draws. Finds another Stoneforge Mystic.
Just in case.
Attacks with his Snapcaster Mage.
Content to just deal 2, build up the counters on his GTA. Any creatures that Dylan puts into play are just gonna die very quickly.
Yeah, I guess if he can kill Goblin Tinker right away, so the only thing would be Tuk Tuk Scrapper. If he brought it in.
That's what he'll need.
But even then, I don't know if those Vials are gonna get high up quick enough. And there's a Batterskull on the way.
Yep.
So I think Brandon Nelson has pretty much locked this one up.
Yeah, it's going to be real tough for Dylan to win. Brandon's going to have to mess up in a big way, and I don't think he's going to do it.
Yeah, Brandon has been playing really well all match. I've liked most of his plays, and I think he's favored right here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the ones we've disagreed with, we've just been wrong on them, so we'll have to ask him if we can get him in the booth here. The 3rd land looks like it's going to be too little, too late for Dylan Allen.
Yeah, those lands not doing so much against upcoming Batterskull and 4 GTA counters.
Right. And that Snapcaster, almost threatening lethal. He can become a 10-power creature at any time.
And Stoneforge can do the 11th point, too.
Yeah.
Although I don't think it would burn the counters on it necessarily.
No, I'm sure he wouldn't.
Actually, Brandon has another Snapcaster in his hand.
Wow.
So he can just kill next turn. Alright, well there's Goblin Warchief. We'll put a little bit of dent in that plan. No reason for Brandon to be hasty anyway, though.
Yeah, and he does have the 1 Tuk Tuk
there's
Scrapper.
Tuk Tuk Scrapper. That'll kill off the GTA. And Brandon picks up the Scrapper. What?
It's like, does this do what I think it does?
Do I even know what it does? How many allies do you have? That's weird.
Yep. And we'll see what he does.
You might not even know what Tuk Tuk Scrapper does. If you don't know, when it enters the battlefield, it destroys... Whenever it or an ally enters the battlefield, it destroys an artifact, and then they take damage equal to the number of allies you have, right?
Right.
It's not converted mana cost. It's allies you have, correct?
It is allies you have,
Yeah,
I
it's
believe.
allies you have.
It
Pretty sure.
definitely keys off allies.
All right.
But he's dealt with the 1 artifact, but the Batterskull looks like it's going to get him. Tuk Tuk Scrapper in his graveyard now. Only got 1 use out of it, of course. And only Goblin Tinker is left to kill that Batterskull.
And he draws Riptide Lab just in case. He needs that Snapcaster Mage again.
Yep.
We have found 8 players.
Brandon says go, knowing that he will be winning this one.
$10 draft number 4.
Yeah, Batterskull's going to come down
to
this
the side
turn.
event stage.
And smashing for 4 over and over again.
So now I'm looking at Brandon's board of Stoneforge and Snapcaster. Riptide Lab just the icing on the cake here. Brandon probably won't even need it.
Activates Aether Vial, puts down Goblin Ringleader. Flips up 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, hits 3 goblins, but I think it's going to be too little too late.
Yeah, those are all fairly low impact goblins. Mog War Marshal can chump block for a while, but I don't think it'll be enough.
I mean, Brandon has also assembled Riptide Lab Snapcaster Mage, which
Right.
is kind of like a build your own Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Exactly.
Just take whatever ability is your favorite and play it over and over.
Yep, he'll be able to play Brainstorm again, play the swords in his hand twice.
Down comes Goblin Warchief. Taps 1. Lackey maybe? 2.
Only one. Now two.
All right, now he plays a matron.
All right, so trying to claw his way back into this game.
Let's see what he can find. Brandon's going to respond. Swordsing the War Chief.
Yeah, identifying the only real threats to the War Chief to give him all haste and make him cost a little less.
Right. And that'll make sure Dylan can't get anything too absurd. Can't play War Marshal or anything like that. Can't go get Siege Gang and be able to play it easily next turn. Although I don't know what those miles are at. I think they're on 4 and
4 and
3. I think
4 and 3. Yeah.
That means he can put Siege Gang into play next turn if he had it potentially,
Right.
and be able to get it with this Goblin Matron.
So Dylan, looking through his deck, passes that red elemental blast, I believe. So he did side those in.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Hasn't seen them yet, and in fact, probably doesn't really even want to draw one right now. Really only best at fighting Jace.
Yeah, killing Snapcaster Mage is not so exciting, especially when you have to stare down Batterskull as he's going to in a second.
And Riptide Lab there.
Yeah, and oh man, that Riptide Lab is going to be brutal. I think if I'm Brandon Nelson, I'd probably just return my Snapcaster Mage right here. I guess you definitely put Batterskull into play. So if you're willing to crack the Flooded Strand, you return Snapcaster, but that might not be necessary.
Yeah, I don't think I'd return the caster here because he has one already in his hand, and that fetch land is going to be more valuable with that Brainstorm in his graveyard.
Yeah, I agree with that. If he had one more land, though, and didn't have to crack the fetch land, I would definitely return the Snapcaster.
Yeah, for sure.
That way you just have an extra activation.
Someone asked on Twitter, what red-black dual land is that? That is Blackcleave Cliffs. Scars of Mirrodin. Comes into play untapped if it's your third, second, or first land of the game.
And Brandon cuts Dylan's deck. He got Warren Weirding. Okay.
Interesting.
Gonna Warren Weirding. Or no, he just played Goblin Lackey. Okay. But here comes Batterskull. Untap. And draw for Brandon Nelson. Players running low on time. About 3 minutes left.
Yeah, I think 3.5. So Brandon has to wrap this one up quickly if he wants to avoid a draw.
Now the players probably have a couple extra minutes for moving on camera, but it's really not many. I think Brandon should be able to win in that amount of time, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Mog War Marshal can create a lot of chump blocking tokens. It can buy a lot of turns. And it doesn't seem as though Brandon is too worried. He wants to avoid not losing more than he wants to ensure the win here, it looks like.
Alright, he attacks with Snapcaster Mage. And Dylan Allen blocks with Goblin Matron. I'm sure he attacked with Batterskull too. I can't imagine not.
And fingering his ringleader.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, just chump blocking.
Ringleader chump blocks the Batterskull.
Dylan Allen just looking to buy time, wants to find more ringleaders, more goblins. Just get as many goblins onto the battlefield as possible.
Yeah, but it's going to be hard with that Batterskull essentially abyssing every turn.
Right. Dylan can afford to take 2 hits from it, but no more than that, and even that's dangerous because any Vendilion click can pick up that Batterskull and be a 7-power creature.
If the clicks are still in Brandon's deck, to be fair.
Right. But Dylan.
Oh, there's Jace the Mind Sculptor. Oh, Brandon doesn't even cast it. Would rather just wait on his Snapcaster Mage.
Yep, wants to make sure he doesn't die more than anything.
And there's Goblin Ringleader.
Yep. And says, okay, it finds Matron and only Matron.
Dylan's Ringleaders have not been very kind to him.
No, not so much.
He found 1 for 3 goblins, but whiffed on 1 and only got 1 goblin on this.
So here comes another Matron. Picks up his deck. Searches for another goblin. Not sure what he's going to find here. Goblin Tinkerer.
Okay.
And Brandon has to read this one too.
That one is good at fighting Batterskull.
Yeah, Brandon, if he can help it, he will not let that hit the Batterskull.
Yeah, you do not want Goblin Tinker to hit your Batterskull.
Right.
Leave 3 out, pick it back up. He should be okay.
Yeah, for sure. As long as that Stoneforge Mystic stays alive. But Dylan does have a Warren Weirding, which it looks like we're going to see here.
Yeah, Warren Weirding. Yeah, we might just see him sack the Batterskull token and then pick Batterskull back up.
Yeah, and he has enough mana to flash it back in too, so that's going to be pretty ineffective.
Sacrifice the Germ. Certainly thinking about it, moving that Germ around.
Yeah, that doesn't do a heck of a lot for Dylan. Just makes Brandon use his mana here.
And there is Goblin Lackey, another one.
And Dylan gets in for 2, wants to bring Brandon below 20 life this game. Although I don't know what this attack's about, because Brandon's just going to flash in that Batter Skull again.
Is it just a trick? Like, I'm not sure what's happening.
Yeah, Brandon's card isn't Chinese or some foreign language, so I think Dylan might have forgotten about that 3 ability.
I mean, maybe, I guess. Yeah, so he just throws away his Ringleader, gives Brandon a free 4 life. I'm sure he appreciates it.
Yep, oops.
It is the spirit of giving. And now Brandon can serve in for 4 with the Batter Skull. Dylan just throws a Lackey in front of it. Or, nope, throws Ringleader in front of
Legacy
it.
players, that is time in round 6.
And there's time, though we don't know if they have extra time or not.
I assume they have a couple extra minutes. Usually is that way.
Yep.
Brandon taps 4 and plays a Mind Sculptor.
And we'll see what he does with it. How much time he has left will probably determine what he does.
Yeah, indeed. Alright, Germ for the Batter Skull.
Probably, regardless of how much time he has left, he doesn't probably have enough to Fate Seal.
He does draw a Path to Exile off that Jace, and Path plus Snapcaster Mage will mean he can clear the way pretty quickly.
Right. Dylan has that Mog War Marshal, but he is running out of time. The power of Jace plus Batterskull eating a creature every single turn.
Right, I mean, Brandon can actually clear the board with 3 creatures with Jace -1 plus Path plus Snapcaster.
Right.
But I don't know how much time is left. These guys might not be able to finish in time. You had been right in the first game about Dylan playing it out so that if Brandon had inevitability, he could stall and do a draw.
Yeah, and it looks like that's just what he's trying to do.
Well, I mean stall not in the sense of like, stalling the game, but stall in the fact that, the game takes a while Brandon is winning, but the game ends up being a draw.
Right.
Not cheating stalling, different kind of stalling.
It's the problem with these blue control decks in any format. Sometimes, even though they're way ahead, they just can't close out the game in time.
See, that's what ends up happening here. I don't know how much time is left.
And Brandon going to flash back the Swords to Plowshares on the pile driver. Yeah, I doubt there are any Vendilion clicks left in his deck. The flying would be really good here, but probably none in there.
Yeah, I mean, certainly would hopefully be able to find them. If Brandon would like to find them, I'm sure, with that Jace.
Yep.
But we'll see if he does. Draws Swords, Path, Force,
Wow.
all the removal spells he could need.
And with the Snapcaster, that's effectively 4 of them too. So.
Wow. I mean, he already used the Snapcaster.
Oh, they're in extra turns
wow,
right
they're
now.
already in extra turns. There was no time extension. I thought there would be a small time extension, but apparently not.
Yep.
All right, so Brandon paths away 1. Or, sorry, swords away 1. I think this must be turn 2 then?
I'm not sure about that.
It was his turn, Brandon's turn when time was called, so he only gets 2 attacks. I don't think he can close the game out in time.
Probably not. He's going to path twice.
Path twice.
He's only with a Goblin token.
Attack with everybody.
Yeah, he's not going to have enough time.
That's that. I think Dylan Allen is going to force this to be a draw, even though Brandon Nelson had it definitively won.
Wow. I'm sure Brandon will ask for the concession, but I don't know if he'll get it in round 6 at XO.
I doubt it. Late in this tournament, these guys, Dylan would be happier getting a draw.
Yeah, the 1 extra match point's going to matter a lot for him, I'm sure.
Yeah, it certainly can make a big difference. Of course, the 2 extra match points will matter a lot for Brandon Nelson.
Yeah.
All right, there's a Goblin Matron. Puts it in. Brandon's like, yeah.
Yeah, and that'll surely find something like a War Marshal, just stall as much as possible. Or if he doesn't have a War Marshal, another Matron into a 1-drop, something like that. But, okay, Ringleader, sure.
All right, gets Ringleader. And not sure what turn they're on. It's either turn 3 or turn 5. Finds another man. Those Ringleader's just terrible for Dylan Allen. Gets a War Marshal, plays the War Marshal, plays a Tinkerer.
So
the board is sufficiently clogged up.
So he makes 5 blockers in that last turn off of previously no board. There's no way Brandon's going to have enough.
We have filled our final
Brandon, Snapcaster Mage, Riptide Labs, Snapcaster
number
Mage.
5. If you will please come over to the side event station.
But I don't think it's going to matter.
We'll get you started momentarily. Once again, standard winner box number 5. please come on over to the scorekeeper station. With
Probably
that,
gonna J
we
set
are
imagine.
done with side events.
Draw 3
for the
cards,
day.
but I don't think he can find
We
anything
thank
to
you
save the
all
game
for
here.
coming.
No,
We
I'm
hope
sure
to
he
see
won't.
you all again very soon.
I mean, can't deal 11 points of damage. He only has 6 points of power on the board, and even if he drew a sword and did some crazy shenanigans.
Yeah, Brandon desperately needed a flyer this game, but couldn't find it. Dylan Allen just,
Draws 3, puts 2 back.
yeah, 2 Force of Will's Brainstorm. Not going to do it. Attacks anyway.
Alright, yeah, Brandon attacks him with Batter Skull, gets chump blocked by War Marshal. This is Brandon's last turn, I believe. Means Dylan gets a single more turn.
Yeah, even if Brandon has one more turn, there's no way he can deal 11 damage.
Yep.
Yeah, and
That's it. I guess it's going to be a draw. Brandon's going to ask for the concession, but he's not going to get it. I mean, maybe he is. I don't know, but I doubt it.
I wouldn't concede if I was Dylan Allen here. If these players were both X1-1 or
Yeah, I mean,
something
yeah,
like
for
that.
sure. I mean, if this was an elimination match, that's one thing. Which I think these guys are both 6-5-0, right?
I think so.
If they're X1, it might be a different story. I think you still take the draw there, though.
Yeah, I think these guys are from table 3 or so.
Well,
So
there's a result slip. Let's see what happens.
see if we can get that under the camera here.
He's going to pass back over to Brandon in just a second. Brandon, yep, looks like a draw, 1-1-1. So after a hard-fought match, a rather unconvincing